What's up, friends, and welcome into Fantasy Pros. This is the Week 10 running back ranks. I'm Chris Welsh. We got Pat Fitzmaurice and Andrew Erickson in the house. Number 8 overall ranker, Andrew Erickson. I repeat myself, top 10, 8 overall. Totally did not realize that he was top 8. I just want to always give you the flowers, Erickson, every single show, because I didn't unintentionally forget you in the wide receiver episodes where we celebrated the top 10 rankers.
No, it's okay, Welsh. As we were talking about earlier, we're usually not that high in the rank. So it's okay that you overlooked us because usually we're nowhere near the top 10. So it's okay. It's an honest mistake. Forgive you.
It's so humble. I think you had another top 10 this year, and I think Fitzy said like 2 top 5. So yeah, sure, you guys are like totally not there. We'll see We're gonna press on the running back ranks though for this week. Fitzy is the number 1 on the season wide receiver ranker, so we are gonna press some of that wide receiver over to the running backs this week. Fitzy, are you ready? How high are you ready to rank someone like Rico Dowdle? How high?
Oh, man.
After watching him do what he did against your Packers.
Crushed my Green Bay Packers. That's amazing that the Packers could lose to the Carolina Panthers in a game where Bryce Young threw for like 105 yards. But Dowdle just crushed the Packers. And I love that Dave Cannella's like adjusted. You know, he had Chuba Hubbard getting basically equal playing time with Rico Dowdle in Hubbard's first couple of games back. But Dowdle was the much more effective running back. And Dave Cannella said, you know, I'm going to use my running backs accordingly and play the hot hand, the better guy. And now Rico Dowdle, man, what a fantasy asset he has turned into. And, you know, the Panthers are a team that probably wants to hide their quarterback as much as possible. So that bodes pretty well for Rico Dowdle going forward.
Well, guess what? We're going to get more Rico Dowdle thoughts from you and from Erickson. We got to talk about him when we do the RB1s. We're going to do RB1s, 2s, and 3s. So top 36 running backs for the week, going in those kind of groupings. We've got some of the specific players that we think you guys might have questions on or where we have really interesting ranks. If you guys want to follow along, go to fantasypros.com/rankings. You can check out when you're listening to this, there can be changes. I think you guys know this. ECR changes like, every single day as more people submit them. But you can follow along how the updates go, and you can just follow along with us. And luckily, we got graphics on the screen for you guys to hang out with us. So let's get into the running backs, and let's start with the top group. These are the 1 through 12. Jonathan Taylor coming in at number 1. Christian McCaffrey 2. Bijan Robinson at 3. Pretty much how it should be. James Cook at 4. Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs. That's your top 6. Rico Dowdle at 7 this week. Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Kyren Williams, and Ashton Jeanty. So that's a very chalk group of players you're not going to make big decisions on, except when Rico Dowdle is staring you in the face, because there has been ups and downs as far as value has gone. They told us last week, like, Rico is, we're going to give him more, and Chuba was kind of benefit of it. And then prior to the game starting, they said Rico Dowdle is a starter. Rico is a tough matchup, and he absolutely dominated. So is it full ride and full go moving forward, or are there going to be some questions? I think there's going to be a decent amount throughout the week of like, do I start Rico over this specific player? ECR is saying Rico Dowdle should be started over Derrick Henry, over Saquon Barkley, over Kyren Williams. He is coming in at number 7, and guess what? Y'all have him at 7 too. So Fitzy, I'm going to let you kind of continue on your conversation. You talked positively about the decision-making, but what do you think about the running back Rico at 7 over some pretty serious names going up against the New Orleans Saints?
I mean, that's it. Like, we expect that it's going to be a positive game script for the Carolina Panthers against the New Orleans Saints. And, as I mentioned, the Panthers, I think, do have incentive to be run heavy when you've got Bryce Young at quarterback, who's had a pretty lackluster season, I would say. And just, man, ever since Chuba got hurt in week 4, I think it was, Dowdle has just been phenomenal in his last 5 games. He's just crushing it. And, man, you just got to ride the hot hand here. He's gone over 100 yards in 3 of his last 5 games, and the only times he didn't were the games that Chuba Hubbard played when they were basically having Chuba and Rico split snaps evenly. Well, Rico is the lead guy now, and I think we have to treat him as such in the rankings.
If somebody asks you the question this week, they say, should I start Saquon Barkley or Rico Dowdle? You are going to have them sit Saquon.
Yeah. I mean, Saquon might not be fully healthy we don't know quite yet what the status of Saquon is going to be, but even if he's good to go and practices today, Wednesday, theoretically, it's not a great matchup against the Packers, although Rico just stampeded them for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, but yeah, I think Rico is a better play this week.
Erickson, I'm curious, do you think at all Chuba's going to creep his little head up and be like, hey, still fantasy relevant? Or, I mean, I think Rico just looks phenomenal, and I think he's going to continue rolling. But are you confident that Rico is going to continue getting the volume that he is so he can put up these big stats? Or do you think we might get a point, maybe it's not this week, so it doesn't matter, but do you think Chuba could creep his head up and take away some of that value?
I do not. I think it's Rico Dowdle's backfield or if he gets hurt, and then maybe you could see Chuba Hubbard take on a larger portion of the backfield. But if you're a Chuba Hubbard manager and you're desperate, you need to start somebody, you're hoping that the Panthers blow out the Saints and Hubbard scores in the fourth quarter. Because I think that's really his most realistic path to fantasy relevance this week. Because I think that it's Hubbard, all systems go. I mean, the way that Canales talks about how Hubbard runs,
you mean Rico
behind his
Yeah.
Rico, and the way that he runs and how it sets the tone for their entire offense, their offensive line, just maulers up front. It's exactly what they want to do. He is their identity of their entire offense. So, yeah, full go. Start Rico Dowdle basically over. You're not thinking twice. Like you're gonna sit someone before you decide I'm gonna sit Rico for this guy. No.
So someone says, Erickson, should I start Rico Dowdle or Josh Jacobs?
Rico Dowdle.
Okay.
Another guy who's not fully healthy.
Yeah.
And by the way, last 5 games, Rico, 130.4 rushing yards per game and 6.3 yards per carry.
Derrick Henry or Rico Dowdle?
Rico Dowdle.
Say it.
I think the thing with Rico is, again, some of these other guys are still ceding snaps to other players. Like Derrick Henry doesn't catch passes. That is still the part of his game. Rico Dowdle does. So no matter what the game script is, Rico Dowdle's always going to be involved. Something goes haywire with the Ravens, they're down, Derrick Henry's not on the field. So that's why I think that Dowdle offers the highest ceiling floor combination, especially of the Kyrans, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley's. And I think that's why he's ranked ahead of him, not just by us, but by ECR collectively.
Say it,
I do have Rico ranked 1 spot higher than Derrick Henry.
Just want to put it into application, my friends. That's all I was looking to do. Let's talk about Ashton Jeanty. He comes in at 12. It's not a fantastic matchup against the Denver Broncos. You guys are both lower. Not insane, but it's more like, higher end to mid running back 2s versus him being a running back 1. Erickson, why don't you talk us through, we got to see more of the volume. Like we want them to use them out of the passing game. We want them to run. Maybe this is just the matchup in general, but what do you think about Jeanty in week 10?
I want to move him up so much, but I'm trying to recognize that playing at Denver on a short week is just a tough spot for any running back and any offense. So that's holding me back because everything else, Jeanty is full go for me. You look at how much more he's been used in the passing game. Last 5 weeks, he's 4th in running back target share, 15%. The only guys that have a higher target share among running backs, Chris McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Devon Achane. The Broncos, they're kind of middle of the pack in terms of missed tackles forced on defense. So, look, Jeanty has just been a missed tackle machine, just like he was at Boise State. Forced 46 mixed tackles this season, 3rd most in the NFL. That's the most by rookie 9 weeks into the season since Dameon Pierce back in 2022, and that's according to Next Gen Stats. So they're getting him out in space. They're not just running him up the middle, and they're using him in the passing game, which I absolutely love. So I think Jeanty has a really high floor because he's playing basically every single snap on the offense for the Las Vegas Raiders. And with Brock Bowers back, the Raiders' offense is no longer terrible. It's at least competent. But it all comes with the caveat that playing at Denver on a short week is really, really tough spot. So I want to move him higher because of the usage. It's been so good for Jeanty, but I am trying to acknowledge the matchup and then comparing him to some of the other guys. I know we're going to talk about him a little bit later with Kyle Monangai. Like if Monangai is the guy in the backfield again, I got to rank him a little bit higher just because it's the Giants and he's going to have another full workload. So there's a couple guys I could move depending on some injuries, but Jeanty I still think is a strong floor play this week.
You seem to kind of agree, Fitz, with the whole, like, you want to move Jeanty up. You're just finding like maybe it's hard to find the justification to go too crazy. Again, it's kind of one hand and the other with like people that are listening of like, hey, should I start? It's like, okay, well, if you have Saquon Barkley, Rico Dowdle, and Ashton Jeanty, maybe, okay, that's a difficult decision, but most people are going to start him here. But you kind of have that same sentiment where you want to move him up a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to think that the return of Brock Bowers is going to uplift the entire Las Vegas offense. But Erickson said, the matchup is his one concern for Jeanty. That's a concern for me too, but I have another concern for Jeanty, and it's just that the Raiders' offensive line isn't very good. They lost their best offensive lineman, Colton Miller, to a broken ankle. And the Raiders ranked dead last in the run blocking metric adjusted line yards. This just is not a very good run blocking offense. So with Brock Bowers playing last week, Jeanty only averaged 3.2 yards per carry against the Jaguars. He did have his most productive game as a pass catcher to date, though. 5 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. That dual usage is kind of what we want to see for Jeanty. But, Denver's just really tough matchup. The short rest, and they're giving up the 7th fewest fantasy points per game to running backs.
All right, well, let's talk about those RB2s. But before we do, we got a special offer for everybody. Unlock a month of Betting Pros Premium. You can do it for free. Download the Betting Pros app today and use code FP1month. Get access to tools like the Same Game Parlay tool, the Prop Bet Analyzer, and the Prize Picks Prop Cheat Sheet. Don't miss out. Try it for free for 1 month. It's available on iOS and Android. Use that promo code FP1month. Do it today. Running back 2s. These are 13 through 24. It starts with Jaylen Warren, J.K. Dobbins, Quinshon Judkins, Breece Hall, Kyle Monangai, and Kamani Vidal. The second half of this is Treveyon Henderson at 19, Travis Etienne, David Montgomery, Tyrone Tracy, Ken Walker, and RJ Harvey. The man of the hour, Kyle Monangai, ECR, RB 17. I truly believe this is just because we don't know the status of DeAndre Swift. If Swift is out, this is the world's greatest matchup against the New York Giants. On Betting Pros, Erickson, you were there. I was talking up Christian McCaffrey because the number was comically stupid this week because the Giants are giving up like over 6 yards per carry right now. Kyle Monangai had the best yards after contact of any running back last week. He looked like a monster. He worked in all the schemes. I love him. I'll be honest with you. I kind of don't care about DeAndre Swift in this. I think they've got to give volume, but you are guaranteed volume if Swift is out. He's going to be close to a top 10 back if Swift is out. That's where I think you guys are like this to me, 13 and 12. So you guys are way higher. This is around where I'm at. This is kind of a like contingency, but if DeAndre Swift is out, do we think we're going to go even higher? Fitz, let's start with you. If Swift is out, do you think you would go to like top 10 on Monangai, or is this like 13 to 12 already banking that in?
So right now, I'm banking in Swift being out, and I have Monangai ranked right behind Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. So I don't know if I could, depending on what the practice report looks like for Barkley. I mean, if Barkley misses Wednesday practice, I'm going to move Kyle Monangai ahead of him. But I am really excited about Monangai, and even if Swift does play this week, I think Monangai should start on any fantasy teams that have him on the roster. With Swift out last week, Monangai just ran all over the Bengals. 26 carries, 176 yards. Yes, add the asterisk because it was the Bengals. But this week, Monangai gets the Giants, and the Giants don't exactly have a vaunted run defense either. They've allowed the second most fantasy points per game to running backs, and opposing running backs are averaging 5.9 yards per carry against the G-men this year. And this Bears offensive line has been mashing in the running game lately. I'm sure you guys probably saw the clip of Darnell Wright. I forget which of the Bengals terrible linebackers. Like he moved him around like he was a piece of furniture, like moved him so far and so fast that Darnell Wright actually wound up taking out one of his own guys by moving this guy, like blocking him into one of his own players. The Bears have averaged 186.5 rushing yards over their last 4 games. And if Kyle Monangai is getting the vast majority of carries again this week, yeah, he could absolutely have another big day.
Erickson, you got him at 13. What's a good word on Kyle Monangai for you?
He's the guy. Just start him. Find a way to get him in your lineup. I think
he's the Monangai
matchup fits. I have nothing else to add. Fitz just did a great job.
All right. He's the Kyle Monangai for sure. Treveyon Henderson, can he be the guy? Still kind of wasn't without Ramondre. He's ECR 19. You guys, maybe there's a little bit of pessimism. Fitz is right about a consensus. Erickson, you're a little bit lower. I guess you guys you still have him at like low end RB2, but Terrell Jennings came in. He took some of the touches. We did get to see 18 touches from Treveyon, which everybody's been wanting for a long time, but was it spectacular? Was it everything that you had dreamed of, Erickson? Let's start with you. A little bit lower on consensus. Where are you at on Treveyon this week?
Well, the matchup is a bit tougher for rushing for Henderson against the Bucs. We know that Todd Bowles' front is always tough to run on. However, I think there is an upside out for Henderson here, even if he's still mixing in with Terrell Jennings, and that's through the passing game. So last week, he had a really strong receiving line, 21% target share. He had 32 yards on 6 targets. And although Henderson's receiving usage has looked pretty inconsistent, if you just look at the entire box scores for his season-long stats, it's actually kind of predictable what games he's actually had more receiving. It's when the Patriots have been underdogs. He's been much more used as a receiver out of the backfield, and when they face negative game scripts. Again, the Patriots have been playing a lot of road games, again, as heavy favorites over the last month or so. This week, they're not. They're on the road against the Buccaneers, who we know can put up points with Baker Mayfield on the other side. So in a game where we can see the Patriots potentially trailing, I think that Henderson has a nice out here as a potential pass catcher because the Buccaneers, what they're bad against, allowing the most receiving yards per game to running backs this season. So I think Henderson, although left a little bit to be desired from the production standpoint last week, didn't score. The usage was really good, played over 75% of the snaps. He had 18 touches. And if Ramondre Stevens is out again, I would expect something similar with more of that receiving pop. And also, if Keyshawn Boutte doesn't play, they need juice. They need the explosive playmakers because Boutte is going to potentially miss with a hamstring. He has been their downfield guy. So how are they going to generate explosives? Maybe it's Demario Douglas again. I think it might be Treveyon Henderson. So I'm probably going to end up moving him up. I'm still kind of considering maybe Ramondre Stevenson plays, and I want to make sure that that's captured somewhat in my early rankings. But if he doesn't practice on Wednesday, I'm going to be moving Henderson up.
What do you think, Fitzy? Where are you at on Treveyon? You are a little bit higher rank-wise. Do you feel some of the positive takes on him?
Yeah, Erickson summed it up pretty well. I mean, the Buccaneers stuff the run with Todd Bowles. It's just what they do, but they have given it up to running backs in the passing game this year. And just the positive comes from the greater usage for Henderson with Ramondre Stevenson out. He played 75% of the Patriots' offensive snaps last week, and he hadn't played more than half of the offensive snaps in any other game. 18 touches, 14 carries, 4 catches, 87 yards from scrimmage. You know, a good day at the office, but could have been a little better. So, but as Erickson said, I think what you like is the dual usage and the possibility that even if Henderson can't really get it going as a runner, he could absolutely make his bones as a pass catcher this week.
I'm pretty fascinated with this one. What about Tyrone Tracy? He comes in at 22 on the ECR. Erickson, you're right at consensus. Fitzy, you're lower. I'm actually going to be surprised. I'm not surprised he's not lower in overall rank just because of Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary kind of, as talked about, was a little bit of a problem. Tracy's going to maybe get a little bit more of the usage. It's Bears is a nice matchup. I don't know. Eric, Fitzy, you talk to me about this one. Is Singletary a problem? Is it Tracy in general? You're lower. I'm a little bit more on your side on this one with Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, just comes down to that Devin Singletary played more snaps than Tyrone Tracy last week. It looks like this is going to be a committee, Welsh. And so I've Singletary ranked one spot higher than Tracy this week.
Oh, you have him higher. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even actually think to even ask that question if you were going to have him
gotta
higher.
Follow the usage, man. And let's not forget that there is a history with Devin Singletary and Brian Dable. They were together in Buffalo, and you know, Singletary's been kind of a mascot for Dable for a while now, and I'm not surprised that I thought he was going to be a supporting player to Tyrone Tracy last week. I didn't think he was going to have more snaps.
And Devin Singletary comes in at 33 on the list, so he's in that next range. So you've got him one spot higher. Erickson, you are at consensus. Are you not worried about Devin Singletary? Do you just love the matchup for Tracy? Where are you at?
So I do love the matchup. So I think there's a chance that both guys could potentially be used this week. And I was also really perplexed by the Tracy Singletary split. So I dove back into this game, and this was underreported. Tyrone Tracy got hurt in this game. So he got banged up in the third quarter. He kind of limped off the field, and he only had 3 touches in the entire second half. So I think that a lot of the snaps that we're attributing to Singletary came when Tyrone Tracy was basically a non-factor in the game because he was dealing with some type of injury. So I wouldn't be surprised. Again, we don't have the full injury reports yet. Would not surprise me if Tyrone Tracy pops up in the injury report this week on Wednesday. So now, does that mean that Singletary could end up being the guy because Tracy's banged up? I think that's possible, but I'm not ready to write off Tracy after one game when I think that he did suffer some type of injury that caused his snaps to diminish, because a lot of the snaps Devin Singletary got were on the final 2 drives for the New York Giants when he didn't even really see that many total touches. So I still think that Tracy is the pass catching back among the 2 running backs. And what did Chase Brown do against this Bears defense last week? He had 14 targets. So if they are in a negative game script, I think it's going to be Tyrone Tracy, the former wide receiver, that's going to be on the field and not Devin Singletary. So again, that doesn't mean that Singletary can't be used. I just am not ready to write off Tyrone Tracy because we have a sample size of these 2 guys playing together all of last year, and Tyrone Tracy dusted Devin Singletary before he started fumbling. So that's kind of how I'm viewing this backfield.
One more in the RB2 range. It is number 24, RJ Harvey. He's going up against the Raiders this week. It is the difference between like the B's to the C matchup grades that we give here, but it's a 3-star rating. ECR 24. Fitz, you're at 31. Erickson, you're at 27. So you guys are a little bit lower. Earlier in the week on some of the live streams, there were people that were just kind of like, are we comfortable? Are we good? Is it RJ Harvey time? And it's just like, no, it's still J.K. Dobbins is still the guy. Like Harvey does cool stuff sometimes, but there's not volume. So there's a lot of wide receivers I'd rather go with. Erickson, I wanted to get your take. You're a little bit higher, and then Fitzy's the lowest on this. Where are you at with RJ Harvey? Is he like some pseudo desperation flex play? Do you feel a little bit better? I know you're a little bit lower than consensus, but what's your take on RJ Harvey?
The guy continues to produce despite lackluster touches.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with Harvey, that it's really hard to rank him because the carries are not there for him. I know one of my best bets last week was under 5.5 carries. He had 2 carries in the game, but he smashes as a receiver yet again and scores touchdowns. So with Harvey, I can't just call him an outright bench because we've seen him have a ceiling in plus matchups. 2 weeks ago against the Dallas Cowboys, he scored 3 touchdowns in a game. Like that wins you your week. So I guess I'm okay with taking a potential lower scoring performance from Harvey on a Thursday night when I know the upside he could offer in a plus matchup against the Raiders can be really, really high, because he is always mixing in with J.K. Dobbins. And even though J.K. Dobbins gets the majority of carries, they love throwing the ball to Harvey in the red zone, especially on some of these wheel routes. So yes, is that, you can question whether that's sustainable or not, but I think the Broncos are going to score points against the Raiders. And if they're scoring points, that's going to put Harvey in some great opportunities. And I would want to point out too, last week, without Marvin Mims, we did see Harvey have an increase in routes and target share. Now, it's kind of weird to think about that from a receiver missing time, but sometimes Mims would be working out of the backfield, either taking carries or kind of seeing jet sweeps, behind the line of scrimmage type of passes. I think all that type of usage went to RJ Harvey specifically last week. So I'm also lower on ECR than him just because I'm trying to capture that the floor is really shaky with Harvey, but he does have a high ceiling, and if you're going to shoot for ceiling, I don't mind doing it on a Thursday night when, okay, if he bombs, you know you have to shoot for even more ceiling in the rest of your lineup the rest of the week, and if he hits in a really big way, you can be a little bit more conservative with the rest of your lineup.
It's an interesting way to look at it. I'm almost kind of on the opposite, where it's like, I mean, I don't know, for Thursday, I kind of hate the idea of just knowing all week that I bombed out on this floorless player. That makes me feel even a little bit more uncomfortable because, just more things can happen Friday and Saturday that can create situations for other starters. The lack of floor concerns me a bit, Fitz. You are lower in the rank. Obviously, we know there's a ceiling on the big plays, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Does Thursday makes me feel more uncomfortable? Does it make you, like Erickson, feel better?
No,
Okay.
because I don't want to get settled with that bad game, and I don't really adjust my lineup setting based on like how things go Thursday. Like I need upside, so I'm going to play this lower ranked player over this higher ranked player. I just play the higher ranked guy all the time, figuring that one of the reasons they're ranked higher is that they do have some upside too. So yeah, I feel like the ECR rank on RJ Harvey is touchdown chasing. He's had 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games, and he has gotten those 5 touchdowns on only 20 touches over those 3 games. So Harvey just is not getting enough snaps or touches to justify an ECR and low end RB2 range. Like, he has played less than a third of the Broncos' offensive snaps in 5 straight games, and he's had 8 or fewer touches in all 5 of those games. But as Erickson points out, though, like, there's reason to hope that RJ Harvey is going to be more consistently involved as a pass catcher. And we have seen that in Sean Payton's offenses, typically the running backs catch a lot of passes. And J.K. Dobbins is not much of a pass catcher. So maybe RJ Harvey starts putting up consistently good receiving numbers. And he did have a season-high 5 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown last week. So that trend is good, but overall, the usage just doesn't justify a top 25 ranking.
He's like a Jameson Williams of running backs right now, where it's
Kind
like,
of,
the
yeah.
matchup is kind of there. You're like, who would you, wait, hold on, Erickson, who would you rather in your flex, Jameson Williams or RJ Harvey?
Jameson Williams.
J-Mo. Fitzy, of course, right?
Same.
J-Mo?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we're on that. All right, running back threes. We got a couple names we're going to hit. First, I want to remind you, you could dominate your fantasy football league with Fantasy Pros, duh. But how about Fantasy Pros Premium? Now you can get Fantasy Pros Premium available free for 6 months. All you got to do is deposit or place your first wager on one of our partner sports books. This is like legit the easiest way to get full access to our top and all fantasy tools all season long. So go to fantasypros.com/premium. That's fantasypros.com/premium to get started. RBs 25 through 36, the RB3 range starts with Zach Charbonnet at 25. We've got Alvin Kamara, Bucky Irving, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Jordan Mason, Rashad White, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Devin Singletary, Isaiah Davis, Zonovan Knight, and Bashal Tutin. Per usual, that putters out as we get to the end of those running backs. They just start fading off. Alvin Kamara is just like a big question mark. Guys, I'm out. I'm done. And he looks done. He looks as done as I feel that he's out. And he's at RB 26. The problem, and I feel like this happens a lot, right when I get to a spot where I'm like, oh, I am done with this guy. You look, and it's like, great matchup. Volume hasn't been there. Going up against Carolina Panthers, it's top star rating in this range of running backs. He's 26. But you guys kind of agree. 29 for Fitzy, 30 for Erickson. Fitz, why don't you give us your take? Alvin Kamara, he just doesn't look like he's got it. The volume doesn't seem to be there. He's not trustworthy. I don't know if RJ Harvey should be ranked above him, but I don't know if I'd want to be starting Alvin Kamara.
I've probably got him ranked too high at running back 29. I can't remember a time when I have ever advocated the dropping of a guy who was clearly the lead back on his team before. I'm advocating that people just drop Alvin Kamara. Like, not only will you not have to even consider playing him anymore and having him just hurt you, but like, he could be a poison pill for whoever picks him up and is tempted to play him. Like, go
Trojan
ahead and
horse.
drop that poison pill on someone. Like, Alvin Kamara has had 31 or fewer rushing yards in 5 straight games, hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1, isn't catching many passes anymore, and we talked about this on the wide receiver show. The Saints offensive line is just in tatters. Now, center Eric McCoy out for the year. Starting tackle Talise Fuaga out with a high ankle sprain. And the Saints just traded their other tackle, Trevor Penning, to the Chargers. So there is just nothing here for Alvin Kamara that makes me even want to consider playing him this week.
Erickson, you got him at 30. I got to be honest with you. Like, I feel it in me when we say this. I'm like, oh my God, we're like, drop him, get rid of him. And it's the Carolina Panthers and he's going to have one of his 5 touchdown games and it's just going to be comment central. He just doesn't look like that guy though. He doesn't look like he's going to prove us wrong. The offense doesn't run through it. You're lower at 30. What do you think, Erickson?
Can you guys even guarantee me that he gets the red zone touches if the Saints even get into the red zone? No, because he's still splitting work. Taysom Hill, they're talking up him as a red zone threat. I mean, he was the guy that had the most rushing yards for the Saints last week, not Alvin Kamara. And Kellen Moore's talking about how he wants to put Devin Neal in the Kendra Miller role. So not only is Kamara not being efficient, not catching passes, not scoring touchdowns, he's also not seeing all the work. So there are no reasons where you should start Alvin Kamara besides the Carolina Panthers matchup, which on paper looks great. But we've talked about this on the show where they're not as bad as the season-long stats would indicate, and you have to put to context who they have faced the last couple of weeks. Facing James Cook is completely different than facing Alvin Kamara. So because he's just been so bad, he is PFF's lowest grade running back this season. I just think that this Saints offense is so bad they can't take advantage of the Carolina Panthers defense. And I think that you'll get the better version of the Panthers run defense this week. Again, we've seen some of these run defenses play a little bit better in certain spots. And I think playing at home against a bad Saints offense, starting a rookie quarterback, just sit Alvin Kamara. Don't play him this week.
Alvin Kamara's got a case of the Bobs where they just sit him down and they're just like, so Alvin, what would you say you do here? It's like, I'm good with the gosh darn offensive lineman. Like there's nothing. We don't know what he's doing anymore, unfortunately. Final one, how about Bam Knight? He is 35 on this list. Fitz, you've got him at 33. Erickson, you also have him at 33. So you guys are in the same range going up against the Seattle Seahawks. It's a tougher defensive matchup. Erickson, Bam Knight, how are we feeling? You have Bam Knight over Alvin Kamara. If I asked you, Kamara, Bam Knight, you really starting Kamara over Bam?
If it's full PPR, maybe. But I don't know. Maybe I should move. Maybe I should switch it up because I think Bam Knight has probably a better chance of scoring a touchdown.
These
Alvin
ranks
Kamara.
are half PPR here right now. Throwing it out.
So maybe that's something that I have to adjust. I think with Bam Knight, it's just touchdown or bust. I think last week he kind of got unlucky just against the Dallas Cowboys. He was RB34 on the week and he didn't score a touchdown. We saw Jacoby Brissett kind of do the quarterback sneak. So again, it's a brutal matchup against the Seahawks. So I don't think that you should be going out of your way to start Bam Knight because I think that he is touchdown or bust. And there's a chance that Trey Benson comes back and Emari Demercado is also working more in this backfield. So I think both guys are sits if you can, but I think Knight actually probably has a little bit more touchdown upside because it just takes one pass interference call, 1 yard line, give it to Bam Knight, maybe he can score.
As long as they don't do the Brissett, just dive in there.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, exactly. I almost bet it too. I was like, oh, he did it. Fitzy, do you like doing the same kind of test here? You starting Kamara over Bam Knight?
Yes. Reluctantly. I don't know what to make of the Cardinals running back usage against the Cowboys. Bam Knight played 11 more snaps than Emari Demercado, was 38 to 27. But Demercado had more carries, 14 carries for him, 9 for Knight, and only 27 yards rushing for Knight. He just wasn't that good. But Knight actually ran more routes and had more targets. So I wouldn't have expected that Demercado would be the primary runner and Knight more the passing down back. That was odd. So I'm not sure what to make of the Arizona backfield until Trey Benson comes back. But Knight didn't have a very good fantasy performance last week in this favorable matchup against the Cowboys, and now he gets a much less favorable matchup against the Seahawks.
All right, ECR 35, maybe not feeling quite as good. Never really are when you're into the 30s of the running backs. But if you guys need to trace it and track it going into the start of week 10, make sure you're going to fantasypros.com/rankings. As they move about, you can see where some of those changes are, any other injury notes. Obviously, you'll see everybody and all the stuff end up starting moving up and down. And it'll even show, it's a great thing, it'll show you the arrows up and down if things have changed throughout the week more dramatically, so it can kind of help you track it. Also, if we did not cover a running back question that you might have had, or maybe you're like, hey, I got these 3 guys, they're super close. What do you guys think? Well, we have an outlet for you in the Start and Sit live stream, Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube channel. So if you're listening on the podcast, go to youtube.com/fantasypros. Make sure you're subscribed, click those notifications, and come hang out with us. And we answer a billion questions, probably about Bam Knight. Ugh, Alvin Kamara. Ugh. All right, that's it. Week 10 RB ranks in the books. Andrew Erickson, Pat Fitzmaurice, I'm Chris Welsh. Good luck, and we'll talk to you next time right here on Fantasy Pros.